Hello, it is 1 p.m. in Cairo. It is 3 a.m. in Palo Alto, California. I'm Monita Rajpal. This is World One, live from London. But first, Egypt's new parliament is set to hold an emergency session in the aftermath of Wednesday's deadly riot at a football match. At least 79 people were killed and 1,000 injured when fighting broke out at a stadium in the city of Port Said. The ruling military council has announced 3 days of mourning for the dead. Hundreds of people have come to Tahrir Square in the capital wearing the jersey of the Cairo football team Al Ahly, which was playing in the match where the riot broke out. There's been chanting in the square against the Supreme Council of the Armed Forces. CNN's senior international correspondent Ben Wiedemann joins us now from Cairo. And Ben, as we've been hearing there, the Muslim Brotherhood is saying that there was a security vacuum that allowed the situation last night to get out of control.
Certainly, that's what the video indicates, Monita, that there simply were not enough security forces, police, riot police on.
And thank you, Ben Wiedemann there in Cairo. More than 200 people have been rescued from the sea after their ferry sank off the coast of Papua New Guinea, but there could be over 100 still missing. About 350 people were believed to be on board when the boat hit trouble early Thursday, 16 kilometers from land. Helicopters to the scene and help with the rescue operation there in Papua New Guinea. You're watching World One live from London. Still ahead, the U.S. is looking to bring an early end to the war in Afghanistan. Republicans in the United States are criticizing President Obama's administration for saying it wants to cut short its combat mission in Afghanistan. The U.S. Defense Secretary told reporters on Wednesday NATO troops could hand the role of fighting the Taliban to Afghan forces a year ahead of schedule. Leon Panetta said, quote, hopefully by mid to the latter part of 2013, we'll be able to make a transition from a combat role to a training, advise, and assist role. Now, previously, the U.S. said combat troops would stay in Afghanistan until the end of 2014. Republican presidential candidate Mitt Romney said Panetta's announcement handed America's enemies an advantage.
His Secretary of Defense
Change of plan comes after President Nicolas Sarkozy of France said he wants French troops home by the end of next year. Well, joining us now from Washington is retired U.S. Army Major General James Spider Marks. He's a former commander of the U.S. Army Intelligence Center. Sir, thank you very much for being with us. Is it too soon, do you think?
Oh, yeah, well, I think the decision was made prematurely, or more importantly, there was no compelling reason why.
U.S. Army Major General James Spider Marks. Sir, thank you so much for your time. We appreciate that.
My pleasure.
Israel has always kept a wary eye on its borders since its founding more than 60 years ago. The country has been surrounded by potential and actual enemies, but is Israel's defensive posture determining its stance on the threat of a nuclear-armed Iran? CNN's David McKenzie reports.
When Israel sees a threat, it takes it very seriously.
This is World One, live from London. A river of ice runs through the heart of Warsaw. Central and Eastern Europe are facing severe cold as a Siberian weather front spreads from Russia all the way to Poland, bringing mountains of snow and high winds. In Romania, temperatures plunged to minus 23 degrees Celsius. Even the waters of the Black Sea froze, and you can see from these pictures taken in the port of Constanza. As we've been mentioning, Ukraine is among the countries worst hit by the cold snap. Joining us now to tell us more about his day-to-day experiences, Alexei Yashevsky. He's a reporter with Russia Today in Kiev. Alexei, thank you very much for being with us. How bad is it?
Well, it is quite bad because it is currently minus 25 degrees centigrade outside.
A lot of reports from you, our viewers, giving us an idea of what you're experiencing around the continent. Reporter Luca Martinez sent in this video that he shot from Ferrara in Italy. He says the heavy snow is unusual for his city. So is the weather likely to change for the better, or are we stuck with this cold spell? Meteorologist Mari Ramos is at the World Weather Center with more details on that. Mari.
Hey, Monita, maybe I can help answer that question you asked, Alexei. Why is this such a big deal?
Skiers will be happy. They didn't get that before the holidays in December, so at least they're getting all of more of their share right now. Mari, thank you so much for that. And we're going to stick with the icy theme to give you an idea of some of the stories that caught our eye today. A man in Chile has been arrested for trying to take off with 5 tons of ice stolen from this glacier in Patagonia. Prosecutors say the huge block was destined for the bars of Santiago in the form of designer ice cubes. Now, apparently, it could have fetched around $6,000. Authorities were not able to return the ice to the glacier. Instead, they have given it to farmers for irrigation. Now, check this out. Can you see the difference? I can't see the difference. Well, according to Republican hopeful Newt Gingrich, when he was asked who he would pick to portray him in a movie, he said Brad Pitt. Well, Gingrich admitted the Hollywood heartthrob doesn't look anything like him. You think? But I guess even politicians can dream. Now get ready to pay your respects. Don Cornelius, the founder and the host of legendary American TV show Soul Train, passed away on Tuesday. He was 75. His friend, the musician Quincy Jones, was among those who paid tribute. He said, before there was MTV, there was Soul Train, and that will be the great legacy of Don Cornelius. It was one of my favorite shows. You're watching World One live from London. It was certainly not the first time violence erupted at an Egyptian football match, but it came at a very sensitive time for Egypt. Inaz Mazar is a sports journalist and former media director for Egypt's national football team. She joins us now on the phone. Thank you so much for being with us, Inaz. What do you think caused this I guess, melee to take place? Was it simply about football rivalries, or is it more sinister than that?
Of course, there is more than rivalry between both teams. I mean, it has been for decades.
Thank you so much for your time. There's still no agreement at the United Nations on how to respond to violence in Syria. Negotiations will resume later today. Members of the UN Security Council expressed optimism at the close of talks on Wednesday, but the core disagreements remain the same. Russia won't back any resolution that mentions regime change. The resolution being debated at the UN backs proposals tabled by the Arab League. Hala Gourani sat down with the head of the Arab League, Nabil El Arabi, for a rare and exclusive one-on-one interview. She began with Moscow's objection to the draft resolution.
What is exactly the language that's bothering Russia right now when you're in discussions?
Hala Gourani there speaking to the Arab League's Secretary General Nabil El Arabi, exclusively with Hala Gourani. And you can check out that interview again later on iDesk at 6 p.m. London time. This is World One live from London. Welcome back. You are watching World One. One tragic story dominates the sports headlines, and that's the Egypt stadium disaster we've been already telling you about. Alex Thomas joins us now with more on that. Alex.
Yes, Monita. Issa Hayatou, president of the Confederation of African Football, has declared that the continent's showpiece tournament will pay tribute to the dead and injured.
Welcome back. You're watching World One live from London. We are approaching almost 7 a.m. in New York. It's almost 1 p.m. in Berlin, and it's almost 9 p.m. for you in Tokyo. You can't put a price on friendship. At least you couldn't until now. Facebook has unveiled plans to sell shares to the public in what could be one of the biggest U.S. stock market debuts of all time. There's been a lot of excitement in the past few days as speculation about the IPO took off. We want to find out what people are saying in Silicon Valley. So, Casey Wine joins us now from Menlo Park in California. So what's the mood like there, Casey?
Well, it's actually pretty quiet here at Facebook headquarters. Yesterday, it was sort of a business as usual day. What we're hearing from Facebook insiders is that basically they're trying to keep this as business as usual, keep their head down.
The early investors in Facebook are really pretty excited about what could be coming their way when it comes to a windfall in just a few months. I guess they'd be very excited. I know I would be. Casey, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate you getting up really early for us there at Silicon Valley. What is it, 4 a.m. there in California. We appreciate it. Casey Wine in Menlo Park. You're watching World One live from London. I'm Monita Rajpal. Thank you for joining us. Stay with us as we update the news headlines in just a couple of minutes.